Be sure to check out my store for the stuff I use and templates at a low cost, and get my everything pack so you can have everything in my store at a reduced cost, less than $20 if you tweet it out. What's up guys, Qehzy here, bringing you guys another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create this techie abstract sorta header in Photoshop. You're going to want some sort of theme, some sort of images. I used FIFA in this case, so you want to get whatever pictures you want to use. Also, throughout this tutorial I'm going to be using a color correction, but the color correction, I'm only going to show you the settings for that at the end of the video. So if you want those settings while watching the tutorial and following along, you can skip to this time and get it a while and go from there. But I'm going to go ahead and set up my document and we'll just jump right into it. So I have my images here in the background, some Ronaldo and a FIFA stadium. And I have my color correction ready, we're not going to use it yet. And I have a hue and saturation below the color correction above my background that just kind of desaturates everything so it's not too vibrant. And we just want to get started from there. So this is at the point you should be, and we want to go ahead, grab a solid color, fill it with this blue that I have, or whatever color you're going to be using. So this is 1D5289, and I'm going to set that to lighten 89. If you are not using blue or you don't want blue as your background, you can pick your color now. Here, it's going to be kind of hard to change later on. You actually have to go individually and change everything's color. The way the color correction is set up, it's not easy. It doesn't look good to just change the hue and saturation. So pick your colors that you think you're going to like, and then we want to go ahead, grab another solid color, this time black, set it to overlay, set it to 47-ish%. And there we go, there's our background. Now go ahead to the blue, select the color fill, and then select everything below it. Command J to duplicate, Command E to merge, call this image, and just leave it there for now. We'll use it in a second. Now we want to create our shape. So I used a hexagon, you can use whatever shape you want. And the hexagon is over here at the rectangle tool. You want to select polygon, 6 sides. And I'm going to click in the middle here. I have a guide that you can pull up with the rulers, which is Command R, and you can just drag that on. And we're going to go ahead, click in the middle, hold Shift. You don't have to hold Alt like I just did. And come on, get a flat bottom. There we go. That's what we want. We want the flat bottom, flat top. Each side has a corner. And this is probably too big, so I'm going to size this down a bit. And mine's going to favor the right side. So you can see it's exposes a lot of the left. So somewhere right like that. And we're going to double click on the layer and make it white. So if you just double click on that square, and we'll duplicate this once, double click, pick the color, and now we want a dark blue or a dark version of whatever color you're using. And we're going to Command T and size that down so it fits on the document like so. Now we want to duplicate that and select the bottom layer of what we just duplicated. So this one's on top, this one's on bottom. We want that one selected. Command T and just bump up the size a bit. Select the color. This time you want it to be the color you're going to be using. So in this case, I'm using this cyan color. And for whatever reason, this is not centered with each other. I don't know, maybe if we bump up the size a bit. Yeah, that looks more correct. And let's select both of these and actually bring them towards the middle. Now we want to grab that picture we have. So we have this image. Let's bring her up above the top polygon, and I'm going to hold Alt, click on the bottom layer, and that will just create a clipping mask. We want to go onto the polygon with that image as a clipping mask, and my layer styles will pop up over here, sorry. And we want to select inner glow. We don't want this, we want white. We want to bump up the size, take the choke all the way down, don't know why it's there. Bump up the size, somewhere like 20 should work. We can bump up the opacity, set it to overlay, and 100% is probably too much, but we can decrease that a little bit. Maybe increase the size even a little more. So this is 38, 55% opacity, 0 choke. That'll work for me. We'll click OK. click the image and then select the next two polygons. So we're not selecting this big white one. Let's group that and call this polygon. And now we want to kind of set these up how we want. So I'm going to go ahead and take this to my other monitor so I can kind of copy it. You guys can create something from scratch, or you can just follow what I do here. So I have this one in the center. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to open it up and select the polygon. I don't want to select this image because I want that to stay where it's at. Command T to transform, and we're just going to make this one the small guy. And put it somewhere here. Something like that works. Close her up. Duplicate the original polygon, bring it below the polygon. Open it up, select the two polygons. Command T to transform. We're going to make this slightly bigger. Bring it over. Where do I want this? Let's see. Cut off there, but it needs to be slightly bigger. Something like that is okay. And I'm going to close that up as well. Duplicate that. And we can leave it on top. Oops, I'm going to keep making this mistake, but we have to open the folder and select both the polygons. You want to make sure to remember that. This one's going to come over to the left. It's going to be slightly smaller. Bring it over. There we go. We don't want it to go beyond this background polygon. I want that to be the very edge, so we have like a small sliver there. Let's close that up. Duplicate it. This is going to stay on top here. We're not going to move this group. Go open it up, select both the polygons, and this is going to come to the bottom left. It's going to stick out slightly like that. Well, it's going to be a lot bigger to come over here a little bit, maybe even bigger. That's what she said. Somewhere like that. Actually, it needs to be even bigger. That's pretty close. I'll bump it up even more. There we go. This is a pretty big stroke going on here, so we could just pop this, transform, and adjust it to make it slightly more like the others. I'm going to go ahead to the bottommost polygon, duplicate it, select the bottom one again, and we're going to bring it over here. Oops, made the mistake. We want to open it up, select both the polygons, bring it over here to the bottom right, and this one's going to be quite small. Let's have it stick out. We don't want it to stick out that far. We want it here and just big enough to close that. Yeah, that is exactly what we want. So that looks pretty good. We can run with that. Duplicate this image again and bring it down to the bottommost polygon. Put it as a clipping mask. There we go. We have all our polygons good to go. Let's select them all, put them in a group, and call this hexagons. Or gexagons, I guess. I'll roll with it. And now we want to make adjustments to each one of these images. So open up the gexagons and open up each one of the folders. Bottom to top is probably easier. And we're going to just make subtle adjustments. So click the first image and just click and start dragging around to see what you can get. So this is the small one. And I actually want this to be smaller, so I'm going to Command T, make it smaller. And I'm actually going to put Ronaldo in there slightly. Like that. That's pretty cool. Bump down the opacity a little bit if you'd like. This is one of my darker square or hexagons, so I bumped down mine. Like 68 works. Let's go to the next image. We're not going to adjust the opacity, but we'll adjust where the image is. So we just want to get the best bits. So maybe more the scoreboard. Maybe we bump it up a little bit so the whole team's there. That's pretty cool. Go to the next one. Which one is this? This is the bottom left. We'll just kind of bump it down just so this doesn't line up. That's pretty cool. We won't adjust the opacity of that. Let's get the next one. This one we're going to include Ronaldo in a little bit. This will actually be his main thing because that one will become faded. And we're actually going to dip the opacity down somewhere between 48 and 68 is usually where I was. Let's go to the next one, adjust it, maybe have them back. No, we gotta move them forward maybe. Yeah, maybe up. I don't know. However you want. Actually, what if we just got more of the stadium? And then this one we'll just bring slightly to the right. So again, we have that Ronaldo kind of just chilling there. Alright, so that's basically our hexagons. That looks pretty cool. Now let's select each hexagon and duplicate it. So I'm going to select the one that doesn't have a clipping mask. So I'm going to select this bottom one, hold command, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and is this the bottommost one? Yeah, we're not going to do the bottommost one. Actually, yeah, let's do it. And then we're going to hit Command J, and they should all pop up at the top. Hopefully there's no problems with that. Nope, that's fine. Let's bring them all outside of the hexagons folder, and we can close that for now. Let's set all of these to 0 fill, so just drag that all the way down. Double click on one, set it to stroke, white. 4 pixels is fine on the outside. You could do inside too if you want the sharp edge. I like the slightly rounded one for this. You can make that bigger too. You can change the size. Click OK, right click, copy layer styles, paste it on the other polygons, like so. Close them, select every one of those, and right click, rasterize layer. And now we want to go individually and kind of edit them a little bit. So let's set them on overlay and click on them. And the first thing you want to do is make them smaller. So this one's going to be slightly smaller. Alright, so once you make each one smaller than it, so you can see the stroke is just slightly on the inside here, we want to get rid of the overlap. So go through and put a layer mask on each one of these. Alright, select the bottommost or the top and grab a black, grab your brush, and we're going to grab a hard brush, and this you can use a pen tool too if you want. I just thought this was pretty easy. See which one you're working with. So this is the one all the way in the back, and you just want to get rid of it where it overlaps other hexagons, including the blue bit. So it doesn't overlay this one at all. That bit's it. Let's move to the next one. Which one's this? Here. Let's get rid of it here, and just do that throughout. Alright, we got rid of the overlap, so it's just on the outside. And we can adjust the opacity slightly, so maybe like 86-ish. And have them all selected like that, and group them, and we're just going to call this inside. Hit Command J to duplicate it, call this one outside. Go inside, select them all again, and this time bump the opacity down a little more, like 57-ish. And instead of just go outside, click the whole group, hit Command T so you can just easily transform them all, this time to the outside. And this time overlap doesn't really matter. You could actually do them individually like we did before if you'd want, but this way works as well. So they're evenly outside is what I'm saying if you want to do it that way, but this way works too. You get a pretty cool look regardless. Alright, now we're going to get into the juicy stuff, and that's adding some of the brushes in the background. So you would have seen from this guy, I have some pretty cool tech brushes going on, and those are downloaded from various sources, so I'll include download links to all of them or the ones I used. I'm not sure really what I'll do, but you can check that out in the description if you want these brushes, unless you have your own. So I'm just going to go ahead to the brush tool. I'm going to get white. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to start dropping a few of these guys in. So they're going to be pretty, not random, but it's going to be probably different from what I did originally. You can see I have a bunch going on here, and let's get the first of all, I'm going to find the hexagonal ones and use those because that kind of fits our theme. So I'm going to grab this big guy here. Follows along here pretty nicely. Let's do that. Maybe there as well. I'm going to keep some of these on the same layer. So let's go ahead and grab the other one. This one looks good. We're going to make it smaller and put her down here. Alright, maybe somewhere up top. Boom, and sure, why not? And maybe in the corner a bit. And we're just going to set all these to overlay and maybe bump this opacity down a bit. That's a lot. That's pretty good. So I'm going to do this with a few more. You guys can do whatever you want. Follow along. I'm going to speed this part up a little bit, but yeah. Alright, so I added some brushes. Hopefully you guys could follow along with where I was placing some of these. What do these look like? It's better off if you just kind of download the brushes I have in the description for you guys and kind of create whatever on your own. It's going to be hard to follow along exactly what I do, and you'll probably create something better if you just do it yourself, honestly. I also lowered the opacity of the background image here on the left because I want the background to be slightly darker, and I'm actually going to do the same thing to this one on the right. Alright, so now this stuff is kind of our bright point. If we pull up the color correction, you can see we're chugging along there. We're getting something pretty interesting. The next thing we want to do though is finally set up our text, see what we got going on. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the text tool, and let me just, actually I'll just click here, and I'm going to do FIFA 18, and this is going to be a two-part text, so I'm going to click out of that, Command J, and just put text here. And I'm going to move the text down and slightly offset to the right. Select both of these, and bump up their size a little bit. That's a little too small, I'd say. And bring it somewhere close to the middle. That works. And I'm going to hop into the FIFA 18 text real quick. Select the 18, since this font I'm using, by the way, is Cybertooth. You can actually download my font pack that I just released. This font is included, but it does not have numbers, sadly. So I'm going to use, what did I use before? Not that, but I'm just going to use, no. I'm going to use Gotham Bold's FIFA 18 or 18 text. So that works. And for the FIFA 18 text, I'm actually going to double click here. And we're just going to go, I have a style here for this. If you don't have my styles, you can download them in my store. I'm going to get rid of the pattern overlay, get rid of the inner glow, get rid of the outer glow. And so this is essentially just a stroke of 4 on the outside. Make it white. Cool, pretty simple. You don't need my layer stylus pack for that, but if you want it, it's available. And then white text there, and we're bringing the FIFA 18 text over to the left slightly. So there we go, there's our text pretty much. We could make it a little bit bigger probably, but that's alright for now. Now we can go ahead and add the social media. If you recall the social media from the original one, let me just put on the color correction. It was basically just a black box with text and a logo on it. I'll just kind of do a quick rundown of that. So let's get the rectangle tool and create a rectangle here beside the text that kind of extends out, and that's a pretty good thickness. And let's make that black. That's blue. Black. Alright, bring it below the text, and we're just going to decrease the opacity a lot. Something like that works. Bring it in, it's a little too big, and we'll zoom in here so we can get a better look. Let's duplicate one of these texts, actually duplicate text because it is the right layer style, and we'll set this up to fit. So we're going to make it smaller, just kind of drag it around. We're going to be using a different font, so I don't know if this font will fit, but I'm just going to put at Qehzy. Actually, I have to go all caps because the font I'm going to be using won't work. I'm going to select that, and the font I'm going to be using is Gotham Bold. Cool. It's a little too big. We'll make it smaller and set her up like that. That works. And then we just want to grab the logo. So let me pull up Flat Icon. This is a program you can download, or you can just Google a logo. And let me just put Twitter in and grab the Twitter logo real quick. That actually might be the perfect size. I think it is. And we're going to put that to the right. Let's duplicate, or let's double click on that layer, and I got to pull up the color overlay, and I'm going to select our blue, and then boom, perfect. That's exactly what I did, and I put that in its own little group, duplicated it, changed the logo, and put it at the text. The text that literally says text. And that's how I did the social media, pretty easy. The other thing you can do is put a logo in this hexagon box. I'm not going to grab my logo just for time's sake, but let's say I duplicate this text and just put a Q and bring that over. And let me size it up a little bit. So this is kind of like a mock avatar, you could say, I guess. You could make the Twitter avatar actually be a hexagon with the new circle update. You can have like the circle be the outside and it be a hexagon, but that's besides the point. Set that to overlay or your logo, and then just duplicate it another time. And that's actually a little too bright for how solid this is. It worked with my logo, but then decrease it. And you can just put your logo in there or whatever else you want. That's just what I did. Now we want to add something else, and that something else is some particles, because particles always make everything better in my opinion. So I'm going to create a new layer, get the brush. This is also from these brushes you can download, and actually you can just kind of create this yourself, honestly. And it's this kind of crisscross one. I don't know if it's that one or the bigger one. Is there a bigger one somewhere? Is that the only one? Apparently. So we're gonna grab that cross, and we're gonna get our blue here, and let's bump up the size. Let's see how far we can go before it's like blurry. Is that good? That's pretty good. So I'm at like a 40 pixel size, and we're gonna click around a few times with this just to add some of these kind of tech particles. You don't want to go too overboard. If there's too many, it could look bad, but spread it out pretty nicely like that. That's pretty alright. And then create a new layer. Whoops. Create a new layer. This time get white, and get another. You can use that but smaller, or grab one of these other shapes. I'm gonna grab this one, which is a 13 pixel size, and we probably won't be able to see it, but that's exactly what we want. And we want to click around, so you can see how small this one is. It's exactly what we want. This actually works. I think this will work a lot better than what I did originally. So click around, then go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Try to find one of these. So I'm gonna single out that top left one, and we can play with the blur radius, but I think 1 is what I did originally, and I'm gonna stick with that. So I'm gonna click OK, set that to overlay, and then if you don't see a big difference, you can duplicate it, and you kind of have some twinkles going on here. It's kind of like a star particle, and it looks pretty cool. I think it enhances the banner or header a little bit, and I like it. Now we kind of want to wrap this up because we're actually getting towards the end. So these are like final touch type stuff. I'm going to create a new layer, get a soft brush, and we're going to add some glow to the cyan blue borders of our hexagons. Let's bump up the size of this. That's a pretty good size. Let's get the blue, and we're just going to kind of follow the blue. You might want to adjust the size for smaller ones just so it doesn't look too bad when it comes to this. But you can see how rough I'm going. It doesn't really matter, but we want to set that layer to screen when it's ready. Decrease the opacity by quite a bit. That might be too much. Maybe somewhere in the 30s. That looks pretty good. I think I'm liking that. Now we need to darken this up a bit because it's like really kind of overpowering. So let's create a new layer. Go to the white, get black, and let's bump up the size of this brush. And we're just going to darken up the sides. So let me just go down and down. Maybe a little more on this side. Keep it at normal and set it somewhere in the teens, so like 16% works. You can see the difference there. It's pretty subtle, but it makes it a pretty big effect. And let's create a new layer, and this time we're going to go across the bottom. So like halfway up with your circle. This is a 1300 brush. You can have it a little smaller, and just go across like boom. Set it to overlay 25%. And then that might not make a big difference, but if you duplicate that, hit Command I, this time it's white, hit Command T, right click, flip vertical, bring it to the top. That kind of, I think, completes it a little bit because it brightens that top part, but it's dark. I don't know, I think it just looks really nice. And then the last thing we can do is darken some of these hexagons because they're all pretty similar. So let's go, this doesn't, you just probably be below the white layer, the white overlay layer, and get a black, get a brush, make it slightly smaller, and kind of just darken up the hexagons you want to be a bit darker. This top right one I do. What else do I want? Darken up this maybe. Maybe just darken up a spot there. I don't know. Set it to overlay. Decrease the opacity a little bit. That looks pretty good. One thing that we can do to separate these a little more is add a drop shadow to the hexagons. So this kind of could be tedious. Where's our hexagons? There's our hexagons. So go to the bottom one, and let's double click on that guy. Set it to drop shadow, and I'm not sure which one we're actually editing. Which one is this? This is the small one, isn't it? Yes, it is. So I'm going to be looking at this. Let's increase the size, increase the distance, increase the spread, increase the opacity. So 50% works. I'm not sure how good this will look, but you'll definitely want to add a drop shadow. I can't believe I forgot to actually say this. 130-degree angle, 55% opacity, distance 4, spread 24, size 29. I'm not sure if this is going to look good, but this is the settings I'm going to go with. Let's right click, copy that layer style, and let's go through and paste that onto each one of these. So you can command click around. There we go. So that looks alright. Alright, once you're happy with everything, then you just want to go ahead and go from the blue layer where we created the glow, select that, and get everything from that on down to the image. Command T, and then rotate it whatever angle you want it on. So I want something like this. Maybe bring it up. That's pretty cool. That works. You might have to make adjustments so you don't have things like this clipping out or whatever. That's just simply going through to each individual layer and extending them, making sure everything's alright. Obviously, I don't want to do that for tutorial sake, but once we're done, we can duplicate everything, Command E to merge it, Command J to duplicate. We want to go Filter, Blur Gallery, Iris Blur, set it to 7 pixels, and OK. And then select, actually you want to grab the eraser tool and buff out any places you don't want blurred. So I don't want Ronaldo's face to be blurred. And make sure this text is alright, and we'll grab a smidge of that. Boom, boom, cool. Select both of those, duplicate them, merge them, filter, sharpen, sharpen more. That would just clean everything up, and then you can add a vibrance if you need more color. If you want more pop, you can just bump that, and bump the saturation a little bit if you need more saturation. And then finally, I will show you the color correction, but that's basically it. If you have the color correction, thank you for watching. The color correction settings go as follows. Let me just get out of this. We have at the topmost layer, we have a folder, a group that's on 76% opacity. Its brightness is, if there's a brightness and contrast, brightness 21. There's a blue gradient here, and the colors are 005FA6. There's one in the middle here that's 1C8DE9. And then the last one is 3A9CEE. That layer is set to soft light, 62% opacity. And then there's curves, and it's just the blue curve that is up. So you can click here, go blue, and bring that up here like so. And then you want to put those in a group and put that at 76% opacity. And then we have a gradient fill that's on linear dodge, and it's just a purple or some color that complements, and that is in the bottom left corner. You can also just use a brush, soft brush of purple, and do it in the corner, and it's in the corner and here on the left. And then there is a lighter purple one, so basically pink, at the top here. And those are all on linear dodge, 100% opacity, but you can just use the brush and create a layer like that. Then there's a hue and saturation, and there's nothing actually on that hue and saturation, don't know why it's there. And then selective color, and actually I forget what is done here, but oh, it's just the cyan, that's right. So if you want to go colors, cyans, bump the magenta all the way up, and the black's at +3, that doesn't really matter. And then the bottommost layer is levels, and it's brought in 13 and from the left, and brought in from the right to 221. And that is the color correction, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, drop a like. Again, 50 likes, I'll put this file in the description for you guys. If you enjoyed content like this, be sure to subscribe for more. Follow me on Snapchat for previews of stuff I'm working on. My Snapchat is Qehzy. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.